The name is Garry Tracy. They call me Bishop here at New Life, and just delighted to be here to do an interview with my pastor. The General Conference, 1988, I was chosen as Regional Director for Asia by Global Missions, and so that required coming off of the field of Pakistan and settling here in St. Louis. And we became acquainted with New Life and stayed here from that time onward. Guy Rome was still alive and active in ministry. What a great joy to get to know him and catch his spirit. Jim Rome was co-pastoring with him at that time, and our family was just invited into this church and loved, and we just loved it here, so we stayed. I think one of the things that stands out to me as I look back upon it, we were honored to host prayer summits. The World Network of Prayer was new at that time, and Sister Thetis Tenney was leading and asked if New Life would host. So we did that, I think 2 or 3 times, and that developed into an annual prayer conference that went on for many years here at New Life. That would be one of the things that stands out to me. Another would be shortly after getting settled in, we saw the need to encourage and train all the ministry leaders of the church. So we began to do that on a monthly basis, and that continued, probably still continues, and that was significant to me as I look back upon it. So those are some things that were significant. The other thing that stands out to me, I don't think there were any Hispanics at New Life when I became pastor, and there were only 1 or 2 African American families. So we wanted to change that and make this a multicultural church. And wow, look at it now. And a lot of that, of course, you've carried on that tradition here. Now, these are my perceptions, and they wouldn't be complete if you were to talk to like Jerry Jones and others. They would have a different perspective. But when I became pastor, this was considered the headquarters church. And there were a lot of people who attended but weren't involved. Well, I didn't think that was too healthy. So we wanted to create an atmosphere here where people would get involved. And so we set up, as I've mentioned, opportunities for people to learn and become involved in ministry. And that also developed into, over time, the development of small groups, trained leaders. We took our time doing that because we had heard stories and examples where small groups became problematic, and but that never happened here because we studied first ourselves and then began to teach leaders to become small group leaders. And over time, that changed the culture of the church. People became more connected. More people were responsible for other people in the church. I remember distinctly after some time of small groups being developed, maybe we had 10 or 12 groups going by then. At the altar call, when people were moving forward, if somebody from a small group went to the altar to respond, the whole group went and supported them. And that created a wonderful atmosphere for discipleship and connecting to people and helping them. So that was a shift that took place. Well, the first thing, of course, was the need to provide for our Christian school. So, immediately we went into a building program. Brother Jones had already raised a considerable amount of money for a new auditorium. We received the bids the same month that I became pastor, and the price was way out of the range. So we sat down with the leaders, what are we going to do now? Well, one of the great needs was we need a gymnasium and more classrooms. So, we started immediately, right in January, February of '99, constructing. And the project was finished by Christmas the next year. And that was an accomplishment. The other thing was to create a culture of sending. As we had mentioned, we developed leaders and just worked with people. And that evolved into a surplus of quality people who could do something for God. And you know, every church has people who come in and then they move on for work reasons, family reasons, and so that was taking place. I kept records, and I was looking back over a 10-year period, over 60 units, some single, some couples, some families, were sent or left New Life for good reasons and went on. Some planted churches, others went to other churches and just helped in the ministry. One or two became missionaries. That sort of thing was very rewarding to see the church become, as you've heard, you know, it's not the seating capacity, it's the sending capacity. And that continues today. Your vision for multiple campuses and sending out missionaries has continued. And that was the vision of Guy Rome way back in the beginning. So that's continued.
Could you describe the process of selecting and appointing the new pastor, and what awesome and amazing qualities you were looking for in the candidates?
Well, qualities of a pastor is quite important, you know. It was an outgrowth, a fairly easy development, like another step. We were developing leaders, as you know, you were here by then, and it became, in my mind, that, okay, I'm getting older, we're not in touch with the younger segment of our audience that we need to be, even though we had, you know, good youth pastors like yourself. But that had to come from the very top. And so it was a natural development to look within the church at quality people who were already acquainted with the culture of the church. No abrupt changes that would be difficult for people to adjust to. And so, we prayed, we fasted, we thought about it. It really wasn't that difficult because you were there and you were the right one, and God, of course, ordained that, and the church agreed almost 100%. We joke about that one vote. Can you imagine a church, you know, that is of this size and only having one person? So God directed us, and that's how it happened, and it seemed to be a natural development, and so we're thankful for that. That was a great achievement, I felt, and yeah. You know, everybody would agree with this. I think the older you get, the more difficult it is to change, right? So pastoral change is huge for everybody involved, and for the one that's stepping out, there is a period of adjustment. Fortunately, God had prepared us for that, and we had done research, and just by experience knew that we needed to do something that was meaningful. We still had good health and that side of it, so we dedicated ourselves to going through that adjustment in a positive way. And I can say, looking back now, several years have passed, God ordained. I believe in seasons of ministry. I believe it does change, and if we will adapt to that, God will direct us. We couldn't be more excited and fulfilled with what we're doing right now. Well, we had the blessing, you and I, of working together for years before you succeeded me. So many of the things that I would say you already knew, either by your own observation and learning or by observing myself and so on. But you're doing it. It is, you got to stay focused. And when I was looking for a successor, I didn't want somebody like me, because churches need new focuses, and you've brought that to our church. Not that you let go of some of the important things of the past that have been successful, but you've added to that. And so absolutely we are committed to the apostolic faith. I think that's first and foremost. Powerful working of the Spirit, gifts of the Spirit in operation, apostolic doctrine, evangelism, discipleship, and mentoring of leaders has got to continue to provide a base for church growth without people coming and leaving for the wrong reasons. And that's happening, and I'm thankful for that. I greatly admire your faith and vision, because those are two ingredients that a church cannot succeed without. And I'm blessed to still be a part of the church and to see what God is doing. And I know it takes time to fully develop what you're doing, but I think you're on target, and everything that I would envision is either going full speed or you are working on it, and I'm very thankful. I'm blessed because of your leadership. My vision is in lockstep with your vision. I see campuses all over St. Louis. I see sending out missionaries, both here in North America and overseas. I see discipleship front and center, the development of our leaders so that they can be effective in assisting you with your vision. That's what I see for our future. God spoke to this church on several occasions that it would be packed to overflowing and impact this entire region. I see that coming, and that's what I see for the future of this church. I hope I'm around to see it happen.